In DaVinci Resolve, almost everything can be keyframed, but in this video I only wish to focus on keyframes in the edit page, while keyframes in Fusion and Color pages have the same purpose but different approach. Specifically, I'll be showing and explaining what are the keyframes, keyframing in the edit page, keyframing in the inspector of the edit page. Keyframes are starting and ending points of a change to the clip's parameters and help create animation and movement. For example, a keyframe could be set to indicate the start and end of the clip's zooming or rotation. A sequence of keyframes defines which movement the viewer will see, while the position of the keyframe in the clip defines the timing or duration of the movement. The primary controls for keyframing are within the inspector. Any parameter that can be keyframe has a gray keyframe button of a diamond shape to the right of its slider. If a playhead is on the keyframe, this button turns red and small navigation arrows will appear to its right and left, otherwise it stays gray. Once you have keyframe one or more parameters within a particular group in the inspector, that clip displays a pair of small buttons at the bottom right in the timeline, which are keyframe editor and curve editor. This can be opened when clicked on them. Only keyframe clips have these buttons. Each group of parameters in the inspector, for example transform, cropping, composite, reveals a single keyframe track in the keyframe editor that holds all the keyframes of all the parameters for each clip. For example, the pan, tilt, zoom, rotation, angle, and anchor point keyframes appear within this transform track of the keyframe editor. If you wish to edit each parameter independently, a small disclosure control or small arrow at the right of each keyframe track lets you open up and displays the individual keyframe tracks, one for each parameter that has been keyframed within the group of inspector controls. Additionally, each keyframe clip has a curve editor that when clicked, curves of each keyframe can be adjusted when you click on the particular keyframe. I will dedicate a separate video on keyframe editor and curve editor. Most simple keyframing tasks can be performed in the inspector using 3 buttons that appear to the right of any parameter that is capable of being keyframed. It takes 2 keyframes at a minimum to create an animated effect. 3 keyframes buttons are these. Left arrow shows previous keyframe, diamond creates or deletes a keyframe, and right arrow shows the next keyframe. A method of keyframing parameters in the inspector are these. For example, if you want to add a keyframe, select the clip, move the playhead to the frame you wish to play the keyframe, click on the keyframe button to activate the keyframe next to the parameter of the inspector, move the playhead to a new location, change parameters, which will automatically add a new keyframe, and this will happen all the time once playhead is a new location for this inspector track. To move a playhead to the next or previous keyframe, use the small left or right arrows. You can also click on the specific keyframe. To edit an existing keyframe, move the playhead on top of the keyframe so it highlights the red button in the inspector, and then change the parameters in the inspector. You can also change the keyframe interpolation in the inspector. For example, ease in and ease out. Eased keyframes create animated changes that begin slowly and accelerate to a full speed or slow down gradually to a full stop. This only works when you have 2 or more keyframes creating an animated effect. Move the playhead to a frame with a keyframe using the next previous keyframe controls. Once the diamond turns red, right-click on it and choose ease in, ease out, or ease in and out at your preference. You can also achieve this effect when you click on the keyframe in the timeline, which highlights the keyframe in red. Right-click and select the same. Also, you can choose a linear. Select the keyframes, right-click and choose the linear, which has a steady animation effect without speeding up or slowing down. There is also a method of deleting or disabling keyframes. To delete a single keyframe, select the keyframe you wish to delete and click on the red diamond in the inspector to delete it. To delete all keyframes for one parameter, click the Reset button on the right next to the parameter, for example zoom, angle, position, etc. To delete all keyframes in the group of parameters, click the Reset button to the right of a parameter group title bar in the inspector, for instance transform, cropping, composite. To disable or enable a group of parameters, in the timeline keyframe editor, click the dot control at the left of a keyframe track. White means track is enabled and gray means disabled. You can do the same in the inspector. Click the dot toggle control at the left of a parameter group's title bar, and red means again the group is enabled and gray is disabled.